$200 million per year conversion rate optimization masterclass. I'm going to show you how this brand, Brooklinen, has not only scaled but maintained 9-figure status after 10 years in business. What I'm going to be breaking down in detail for you today is how this brand has combined conversion-driven principles, consumer psychology, with amazing direct-to-consumer branding. And striking that balance is not always easy, but I'm going to share that with you today, and we're going to go through different areas of their website, but I'm also going to be sharing some bonus tips about how to run a great D2C business, and proof of that with this brand being in business for over 10 years. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Just before we dive in, just show you some proof that I'm qualified speaker on the topic of growing e-commerce brands, and you can trust the information I'm going to be sharing with you today. Quick refresh on the dashboard. Show you last 12 months, just over $9 million in revenue for one of our clients. We help e-commerce brands scale to 8 figures, multiple 8 figures. And the way we do that is through done-for-you services across both paid customer acquisition and also customer retention. If you are interested in learning more about what we do, there's a link below this video to our website to learn more. Okay, so let's get right into it. As I said, this brand generates around $200 million in revenue this year, verified by this article from Inc. And what I want to do is start by showing you the collections page. Now, why the collections page? Because whenever we work with brands that sell multiple SKUs, especially when they're selling different designs or colors or different variants of the same product, it's important to have the collections page really dialed in, because this is where the majority of customers are going to come to actually shop and find what they're looking for. And one way that I like to think about conversion optimization, CRO, A/B testing. And by the way, if your brand is doing at least 7 figures, you should always be running A/B tests on your website, because there's always an opportunity to increase conversion rates a little bit more, increase average order value a little bit more. And as I mentioned, what we found is that the collections page is a big driver of that conversion rate increase. Whenever we've done A/B tests for those clients, the collections page has generated some huge leaps in that conversion rate increase. So some elements I want to talk about here on the collections page. Now, the product cards themselves are very important. And, first glance doesn't really seem like anything special. But what I want to show you is how this is layered and structured. Now, the first thing is that the product itself is on a different background color to the background of the website. Now, this is a subtle but very important change, because it creates clear separation and dimension to the product themselves. It puts the products in a better light. And also, all these products are taken from the same shot or very similar shot. And what that does is it creates a consistent look and feel, and it makes it easy for the customer, the user who's browsing this website, to decide on which one they want to click on, right? If we're showing them different angles, sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's on a bed, the cognitive load becomes heavier on the user, and making a decision is not as easy, right? So we want to make the decision as easy as possible, right? So we have these little tags up here, bestseller, more bundle new. This is also used to help customers click on certain products that they might feel more magnetized towards, right? So customers might be looking for the best sellers. They might be looking for something that's new. They might be looking for something that is specifically cooling, right? It just helps guide and direct the customer to making a decision. That's all what we're trying to do here, okay? We're not really trying to sell them on the product just yet. So again, we also have a best value tag down here as well. But then what I want to focus on is how this is structured and how the hierarchy here is structured as well, right? So notice how there's only a use of maybe 3 colors, right? We have green, we have blue, we have this kind of grayed out, but that's it, right? And it's very easy to read and consume. So we have the product title, then we have the price with the strike through with the percentage off, and then we have more details about the product in a very simple format, okay? And this is important, obviously, because the customer knows what they're actually going to click on and find out, when they do set it up to keep, going to product page and back to collections page, product page, back to collections page. That's actually really important, okay? Then with the customer reviews and then some swatches, okay, just to show that there's more colors here, that if the customer goes and clicks on this, they're going to be able to find more colors, okay? By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue, and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done-for-you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you, and that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So this is like a perfect structure, perfect hierarchy. I've gone through other videos on my channel where we've broken down the conversion optimization principles for other brands, and I'm going to show you this brand here, this brand Homery, also a 9-figure brand that do $100 million per year in revenue. But notice how, again, there's a similar hierarchy and structure. We have the image, we have these little tags, we have some swatches or some images, but then we have these like image preview here, but then it's product title, flash sale, price, and strike through, right? They've done this like a little bit different, but I'll show you just one more example before we move on. This brand Comfort does $500 million per year in revenue. If we go to their collections page to shop all, you can see that again, there's a very clear structure and hierarchy here with the images on that color, on that background that adds some dimension, separation. They have these bestseller tags, and then they have, product title, strike through price, pricing, and then the swatches. Okay, so I actually prefer Brooklinens to all these examples that I showed you. I think it's the most conversion driven, and it doesn't feel too crowded as well. Okay, so last thing I want to talk about on the collections page before we move on is the filters. Now the filters are quite overlooked, but very, very important, because again, a big part of like increasing your conversion rate is just making it easier for your customer to navigate on your website and find what they're looking for, right? Of course, we need the other things. We need the psychology, the conversion-driven principles, direct response. We're going to get to that. But just the ease of navigating and looking at heat maps, looking at session recordings, whether you're using Microsoft Clarity, which is free and I recommend it, or whether you're using something paid like heatmap.com, which is also great, you can actually see heat maps and session recordings from your website. And this is like the hack to actually finding out how to improve the conversion on your website by reverse engineering that, coming up with a hypothesis and proceeding from there. Okay, so you don't want too many filters. You don't want an overwhelming amount of filters. You just want to cover the basis and again make it easy for customers to navigate the website and find what they're looking for. All right, now let's look at the product page. The product page continues the same branding, the same look and feel as the collections page. This is across the whole website, and I love how they've done the branding and kind of they've laid out these. Now I love how they've combined the on-brand look and feel with the conversion-driven principles I'm going to show you in this video. So first thing, of course, we start with the product image carousel, right? Some arrows left and right so that the customer knows that they can swipe, but also infographics, right? Infographics are very, very important because this is prime real estate, right? If you are to look at Microsoft Clarity, heatmap.com, session recordings, heat maps, what you will always find in 9 times out of 10 or 99% of cases is that one of the most interactive sections on your product page is this image carousel. And with good reason. It's the first thing people see. And people love to look at images and consume content visually. So let's give them some infographics to actually make better use of this space. Now, I think Brooklinen has a lot that they can actually test with to improve this image carousel, maybe adding in some customer reviews, maybe adding in some more features, some more benefits to the product, sizes available, all that stuff, to actually just get across more of the information that is in their features and details and all that stuff here, just in image and easy to consume format, so customers don't have to read all the text, right? But then what we do is we get into the hierarchy here again, right? So hierarchy being the title of the product, the customer reviews with a very, very important, a link to click the customer reviews, which scrolls you down to the customer review section so that customers can actually read these. What you'll most likely find is that the sections in between, what comes above the fold, like I say up to here, and then all the way until the reviews, what's in between, there's not really a ton of interaction there. And that's because people, they come here, they look through the images, they read this, they check the price, they look at, different colorways, designs, whatever it is. They click the reviews to learn more and read more about the reviews. And then once they have made a decision, they're going to come up and they're going to actually select the product they want and add to cart, right? That's really the flow that the customer is going to take in most cases, right? Doesn't apply to everyone, but it's most cases, right? So then they have all the swatches. Now, I know this tends to be a struggle for brands that have a lot of variants and swatches that they want to show, that it takes up a lot of space, a lot of vertical space. Now, this takes up 3 rows, which is quite a lot, and there's no real way to get around this, right? You could test making them smaller, but I think, again, you want to come back to the UX, the user experience, and you want to make them big enough that they're easy to click on, easy to navigate as well, okay? Notice how when we're clicking these, the page isn't actually refreshing, just the variant is changing, and just the image is changing as well, right? And that's really important that you change the images, the carousel, the details as well around the color, when someone clicks on these, okay? Now, the next thing that's super, super important, and again, very important to hierarchy, is the size guide, right? Because this should be exactly next to the point where the customer is actually choosing the size. So whether they're choosing a size of clothing, small, medium, large, footwear, whether they're choosing a size of bedding, right? Towels, whatever it is, you want a size guide. And the size guide should open on the same page, like a slide out, just like this one. It should not take the customer to a different page. You don't want to do that, because when you do that, now the customer has to try and navigate back to the page that you want them to be on to add the product to cart and buy, right? We want them to just have this quick pop-up, which is easy to consume. Having a video here as well can be great if it's light and doesn't slow down your speed, doesn't slow down your site speed a lot. That can be great as an easy way to interpret. And it's usually best in cases where it is maybe the product you're selling and the sizing a little bit more complex, just to make sure that you get the sizing right, because of course you want customers to select the right size, you want to make it easy, but the thing you need to think about as well is you want to reduce the amount of returns you get, okay? Because a lot of items are returned because of sizing. If you can reduce the amount of returns by improving the size guide on the front end before the purchase is made, then that's going to reduce your returns, okay? So just something to think about. Then we have the pricing, strike-through pricing, again, creating a price anchor. Price anchor is a very, very powerful direct response principle where we are anchoring them at a price that is higher than the current price right now, and then we're also showing them what they're actually saving with the 35% off, okay? Now the next part here is bundling. This is all to increase average order value, which is very interesting. Again, we spoke multiple times on my channel about increasing AOV. It is one of the bottlenecks that e-commerce brands face to actually scaling. Bundles are a great way to do that, right? There's another brand I love that's in a very similar space to Brooklinen, and it's called Linen Bundle. And this brand does an excellent job at, again, combining on-brand design with conversion-driven principles to increase conversion rate without affecting their brand image. And, I'd also recommend coming to linenbundle.com and looking at this. They're done very, very well as an 8-figure brand. And what they do is they sell these bundles as well, right? So you select your duvet cover, your fitted sheet, your pillowcases. And, again, what that does is it increases the average order value, right? So just something to think about. Now, if we go back to the product page and we actually scroll down, we see the add to cart button. Now, an area of opportunity, I think, for Brooklinen is to always show the add to cart button. So we've done some tests with clients where even above the fold, we show like a sticky add to cart button, and it has increased our conversion rate, okay? So that's something you can show, or just show it like within one scroll, right? Now, it should always be above the fold, in my opinion, right? It's the most important part. And, maybe they could reduce vertical space by putting, this announcement bar onto one line, maybe 2 lines max, because it is taking up quite a lot of space based on the information that they're showing here. But yeah, going back to my point, having the add to cart button within one scroll is super, super important. And it's actually quite far down for Brooklinen in this example, right? But what you want to have around your add to cart button is you can have a quantity selector, not always, the most important nowadays, because customers know that they can increase quantity in the cart, but having some, free shipping, 365-day returns, reward points, warranty, guarantee, all this stuff is important to have right around the add to cart button, because this is the point of when the customer is making a decision as to whether they want to add to cart, and we want to try and push them over the edge as much as we can. Now, then we go into these very clear structured accordions. If the customer wants to read more information around details, around returns, around dimensions, they can do so by simply expanding and contracting these accordions, and it keeps things just very organized here as well. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the rest of the sections, as I mentioned, because customers don't really interact with these a lot. Of course, you want to have us versus them. You want to have more details around the products, maybe some more information about the materials, the ingredients, how it's made, etc., etc. Maybe some more social proof with the videos of people using the product. But I do want to speak a little bit about the navigation. Now, again, if you are using, and you should be using, Microsoft Clarity Heatmap.com, one of these softwares that allows you to track heat maps and session recordings, you will find that one of the most interactive sections on your website is this hamburger menu, this navigation bar. And the reason why is because customers are using this to navigate the website. When they land on your page, if they don't really know where they are, this is the first thing they're going to click to actually go and navigate towards what they want to find. Okay. Now it is your job to make this as much of a seamless and easy to navigate section of your website as possible. Because if not, customers are not going to be able to find the products that they're looking for, and they're not going to buy. Right? Simple as that. So Brooklinen has a very clear hierarchy here, depending on the area of home that you're shopping for: bed, bath, and then they have different types of products, bundles, bestsellers, and then just more like a general home, new arrivals, and sale. Okay. Within each of these is, again, another hierarchy where you can shop all bedding, all sheets. You can shop by fabric, and then there's some more options down here as well. And we can just look at another example with bath, very, very similar approach here too. So you want to find a hierarchy and structure that works for you. If we just look at some more examples, if we just go to this one on mobile, and we look at Linen Bundle, and we open up theirs, it's very similar, right? Bed sheets, we expand that, and we can expand to more as well and go deeper, right? It's a very, very clear structured hierarchy, and that's important, again, to improve the shopping experience. Now, I promised some bonus tips at the beginning of this video. The first one I want to talk about is the approach that Brooklinen has to their customer support. Now, this brand has been around for 10 years. They're generating 9 figures in revenue. Now, they could easily say, we're going to stick with what we're doing and continue. They've actually done a lot of innovation in very recent times at the time of recording this video, just last month. And what they're doing is they're using all the data around customer reviews. The CEO, Billy May, is talking about how they're using that review data to improve the products. So they've actually gone through 27 different iterations of improving the product. But ultimately the learning here is that you should always listen to your customers. Not only did they get feedback, but they also went through thousands of online reviews, conducting textual analysis, holding focus groups. And then that led them to discover many customers, one of the brand's inner sheets feel softer and heavier, right? Now, it sounds crazy, but customers will tell you what they want, right? And that is just what you have to do as a brand owner, as an operator. You have to make sure that you're listening to your customers, that you're gathering data from your customers about what they like, what they dislike about your products, what they want to see, what new products they want to see from your collection and ecosystem. Because when customers give you that data, then you can have a lot more conviction to go away and take action and improve the product, introduce new products in line with those recommendations, and know that there's demand for that. Okay, so a very, very important part of just being able to continue to innovate and grow and expand the product line, which is also something I want to speak about, is that new product launches should happen 3 to 6 months is on the more aggressive side. Even if you do something like 6 to 8 months is still good. And what that's doing is you are expanding your product range by introducing complementary products, even products that reach new markets. Brooklinen just started with sheets. Since then they've expanded to comforters, duvets, but not only within the bedroom, they've also expanded to the bathroom with towels, with robes, bath mats, etc., etc. And launching new products can also mean launching new colors or new designs within existing categories, right? And it can also mean you are maybe teaming up with a influencer or someone else to produce a collab. And this is exactly what they've done with Caroline Hurley. And this is just a great way to, again, expand audience and tap into that, specific creator's audience, create new interesting designs, and also have kind of the design. And, that designer may think of something that your core team may not have thought about, right? So just another way to expand there. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you have some ideas that you can apply to your own brand in terms of improving conversion rate, improving average order value, while keeping things very on brand, okay? If you are interested in having a team come in and help you scale your e-commerce brand to 8 figures, multiple 8 figures, then this is exactly what my agency Hayes does. We've been around since 2016. We've seen a lot. And what we do is we provide done-for-you services across media buying, ad creative, landing pages, CRO, email marketing, and SMS marketing to help you scale your e-commerce brand. If you're interested in one of those services or all those services, then there's a link below this video to book a call with me. We'll have a chat about your business, understand the current situation, what your objectives are, and see if there's a fit for us to actually help you get there, right? If not, we'll tell you up front. And if there is, we'll actually proceed with the next steps and build out a full strategy for you, okay? That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.